Unfortunately, there's not one place you go to find stories. There's no kind of vending machine for news. Some press releases claim to be this, but they're usually far from it. Instead, you're going to need to get up, go outside and look around. The world is ever-changing, ever-moving, and it's ram-packed full of stories. Of course, we're going to go through more specific sources of news in other videos, but in order to find good original stories, you're going to need to have a journalistic mindset. Broadly speaking, this means knowing what makes a good story, always be looking for a good story, and using your curiosity to find stories where they might not be obvious otherwise. And all of this may seem a bit overwhelming at first, but it's a mindset, so it'll eventually will become natural to you. Journalism is not a job, it's a vocation, a way of life. Even if you're on holiday at the beach, you're bound to find potential stories. And even if you don't write about every single one of them, not all of them will be newsworthy, it's good to have ideas floating in your head. And soon you won't be able to not see potential stories. On the BBC Journalism Academy, they mention an editor who claimed he could find more potential stories on this 500-metre stretch of street than anyone else. He took in the amount of litter, standards of parking, number of new cars, what traffic wardens were up to, and so on, and all of the observations he'd make had the potential to spark a line of inquiry. Yet how often do we pass building sites and never ask, "What are you building?" So even if the whole story isn't right in front of you, there's at least likely a hint of one, and that is a line of inquiry. But to identify a potential line of inquiry, you're going to have to start thinking about things in terms of potential broader implications. Back to the previous example, what could the number of new cars indicate? And then what of these implications are newsworthy? And if you start thinking like this, you're going to be overwhelmed with potential stories soon enough. Even a big story is rarely going to land straight in your lap. That is why your curiosity is essential, because it's these little details that are important. Even in a press release, it's usually chocked full of self-serving nonsense, but there could potentially be a lead in there, a lead that the person who wrote it may not have, even thought about or considered being there. But don't worry about trying to get a global breaking news exclusive just yet, because if you can't find a small local story, then you're never going to be able to find global breaking news, because they usually, originate from some kind of locality, and you've got to have your eyes peeled in order to find it.